right. I think we have
Is
got it
it
going. Yes, we
rocking?
are good to go. Good morning, everyone. Hope you are staying warm. We had snow for the first time in 30 years here in Florida, which blew everybody's mind. It was pretty
Yeah.
cool. Nice change.
That it was.
but
It was actually nice.
ready for it to be gone. We have ice on the road still, so hopefully today, as it warms up, we'll get rid of that. But um, today we wanted to discuss our holobody and our internal awareness for our holistic wellness for you, a topic for today.
Yes.
So I let you.
Oh, okay. So everyone kind of asked, like, so what is the Holobody? Your Holobody coaches. We went through a 4-month program to get certified. So Holobody is basically broken down into it is the holistic body. And we were asked one time at an event because the people throw the word holistic around all over the place. Yeah, it's I'm a holistic this, holistic that, holistic, A, B, C, and
Mhm.
D.
Yeah.
So we were asked because the lady kind of looked and saw whole body, holistic body, we're holistic wellness coaches. And she kind of chuckled and she goes, so what is holistic? What does it mean to you? Because everyone uses it. Well, anything that's holistic takes into consideration everything with with the body, your physical, your mental, even your nutrition, all of it comes into play. Now, is everybody the exact same? No, we are not all built the exact same way. So let's say, you and I would be going on our, holistic wellness journey, so to speak. And I'll get into more about it. It's not, and we can be going through the same program, but we're each going to get a completely different result because we're all made up differently, which is why a lot of your mainstream programs don't give you that permanent positive change, and they're not really that sustainable. So when it comes to the whole body or holistic body, we start off talking about you have an unconscious transformation and you have a conscious transformation. Well, what is the unconscious transformation? We do this one all the time. And I like using New Year's resolutions as a good one for this because it kind of makes sense. So New Year's comes around and like, okay, that's it. This year I'm going to work out. Excuse me. I'm going to work out and I've got this program, that program. I've researched all these supplements, which is great. That's fine. You have
Mhm.
done your work. And I am going to make myself transform. Knows that you're going to make yourself do it. That's your unconscious transformation. Well, you start off January, you're doing okay. And then probably about the first week of February, give or take, you're done. You stop. You throw your hands up in the air and you're like, you know what? This isn't working. I'm done. I am not meant to put on muscle mass. I am not meant to have that set of abs. So one other thing you've done is now you've mentally told yourself that you can't do it, which is not good. This is your unconscious transformation. It's like you're forcing yourself to transform to do something that your body really isn't wanting to do. And then now you're looking and you're not getting the results you want. So now you get pissed and you quit. He's like, you know what, forget it. And then you go ahead and go back to how you had done things before because now you've pretty much told yourself, I am not capable of achieving that set of abs on Instagram or that set of thighs on Instagram or this particular post. Well, of course you're not because you don't have their genetic makeup or their DNA. So you don't get the transformation that you want. The results that you really, really wanted and desired aren't there. So now you stop. You've given yourself that limiting belief. Well, looks like I'm never going to look like that. I'm never going to achieve this. Now, on the conscious transformation, which is what we do in the whole body, your body as a whole. We look at everything, not just, Okay, I need to do this and I need to cut the calories. I need to, work on this and work on that. So we look at the body as a whole. Okay, take a look at yourself. Now, what you're going to do is you accept your body. It's like, okay, cool. I accept my body. Now I can start the transformation because now you've seen it consciously. Okay, this is what I got to work with. Kind of like a painter or a sculptor. You look at yourself. Okay, this is the medium I've got to work with, and I'm going to make something out of it. And this is where we talk about the internal awareness, is where you listen to your body. There's a lot of, back when and I wish I knew some of this back when I was in the Army and was doing some powerlifting, which is one of the reasons I really like doing the powerlifting. It was kind of interesting because you always hear the no pain, no gain, work your way through the pain, do this, do that. It doesn't matter if you're still sore. If you're not out there working through it, then you're a sissy and you aren't dedicated. Well, as I started reading more about powerlifting, the gentleman who wrote the book that I had read kind of said, hey, if you only worked out 3 days a week, and I'll tell you right now, in a matter of about, I did it solid like my last 3.5 years in the Army. When I got out of the Army, I was a damn monster. I went from like 180 pounds pushing up to 200, and it was impressive. But I had read and listened to my body. Is like he said, if you're still sore, don't work out that next day. You've got to let your muscles repair. Now, that's what worked for me, and it actually made sense. So if I had to take a day or two off and then maybe just do some cardio or walking or ride the exercise bike, something along those lines, it was fine. I listened. I didn't realize it back then because this was back in the 90s. But if I would have known back then what I know now about how to really listen more, I could have really, really knocked things out of the park a little bit quicker. So now you got your conscious transformation. You want to listen to your body. It's like, well, I want to do the push-ups. So you get down in the push-up. How does it feel? Where do you feel? It's like, well, I got to do push-ups because this program says I have to do it and I have to hold my hands this way. Well, maybe if you have your hands out too wide, it puts too much pressure on your shoulders. Or maybe if you put them in closer, you feel it in your triceps. You're like, that's where I want it. That's where you feel you listen. You know what? I like this. So that is the conscious transformation. And you want to get internal, not, external. I'm going to do this. I'm going to force myself to do this workout and that workout, and I'm going to eat only boiled chicken breast and broccoli. True story. I knew a guy that's all he ate is when I was working in Baghdad. This guy had, abs that you could probably wash a brand new pair of jeans on. And we're looking, it's like, my God, dude, what in the world do you do? And he looks at us, nice guy. And he says, in order to look like this, you've really got to hate yourself. And like, I mean, I'm all for some nice abs, but I don't know if I could sit there and just eat broccoli and boiled chicken breast for the rest of my life. But that's what he did. Was he happy? He was happy with how he looked. But he goes, other than that, he goes, I'm hungry. I'm starving.
Miserable.
But I'm miserable. Mm-hmm. But, in order for me to look like this, I have to feel miserable. You don't have to. You don't have to. But I did that for years. A lot of us do that for years. But once you get into your internal awareness and you start to listen, basically you're kind of going off of your intuition. So once you tap into that and realize, okay, this is what my body's saying, this is what I got to work with. Now, what is your goal? You obviously have a goal, whether it be, I just want to have more energy. I want to sleep better. I want to, lose 2 or 3 pounds here or there a week, or just overall wellness. I just want to wake up and just have more energy, period. Or is it possible to, lower my blood pressure? Is it possible to find out, what I'm eating is causing problems, which it can. That some of the foods that we do eat cause inflammation. And this was one of the things that we had learned about. I never heard of it. Was the elimination diet. and you pull out. And the sad part is the foods that cause you inflammation are the ones that you absolutely love. You, oh man, I
Usually.
like the fried food. I like the French fries. I like the greasy burger. I like all that. I'm not going to lie to you. But every
Well, that's
now and
not really
then,
that great for you either.
yeah. I mean, granted, it's not that great for you, but I tell you what, it's I like it.
Everybody
Um,
likes it.
everybody likes it.
Doesn't
But
mean your
if
body
you're
does.
Yeah, but if you're having, your, joint pain, some type of an inflammation, start with your diet. Now, granted, before you jump on anything, check with your primary care physician, or if you're going to a nutritionist or a dietitian, um, ask them about the elimination diet. And, you may be having some joint pain, even some arthritis pain, and start pulling away some of the foods that can cause your inflammation. I know they say like a red meat, alcohol, certain oils that you cook with can cause the inflammation. Your level sugar, your refined sugars. Hey, if you got that dozen of Krispy Kreme sitting there on the kitchen table, that might be causing you some issues. Now, do we know when we were going through the class, we had some people in the class that there was nothing that gave them inflammation. I'll explain when we would talk about
Eggs was
bringing it
another
back
one.
in. Eggs was another one. We had a lady in the class, and she started pulling everything off, because what you do, you pull everything off for about 3
Dairy,
weeks.
eggs, yeah.
Dairy, eggs, like your red meats.
Hmm.
And there is now, if you are a vegetarian and you eat primarily plant-based diet, you aren't going to have the inflammation. Because we had kind of looked and was like, well, what if we have someone that's a vegetarian? Is there anything that would cause them inflammation? And there's, from what we had found with clients, if you have a vegetarian diet, your inflammation
As long
is,
as the quality is
as long
good.
as the quality, depending
You
on
you
what you get.
gotta, that's something else, because you have a lot
Yeah.
of the chemicals and stuff
Mm-hmm.
that are put on these plants, and you don't realize, oh, there's been so much one extreme to the other, but what goes on these plants go into the plant, and then it stays there. So you eat it, it's gonna come
Mm-hmm.
into you as well. So definitely, I know of this organic explosion, but there's a reason why. And it's due to the chemicals, and over time what that can create. Not necessarily, oh, I eat a whole bowl of spinach, and this is going to happen. No, I mean, your body has to break it down, and over
Mm-hmm.
time, and because our bodies are really amazing in what they can do for us, in protecting us and keeping us healthy, but we have to feed it correctly, or the output's not going to be that great. And to touch on kind of what you said, what is that goal that you're looking for? It's like, oh, I want to look like Jennifer Lopez. Well, I'm going to use myself as an example. Well, I'm Cherokee Indian, German, Irish, and some other European, right? Primarily Cherokee, but it's like, and I'm six, or I'm 5'11", almost 6 feet tall, and there's no way that I could look like Jennifer Lopez, and this is why, because our experiences are different, what we eat are different. I am not a dancer like she is, choreographer, that kind of thing. She's extremely active, has been for years. I have been active, but not to the extent that she has. So our body types are different, our demographics are different. So I cannot measure myself against her, because even her experiences, growing up would be different as were mine. So you can't, what's that phrase that people use, you don't compare.
Don't measure your yourself against someone else's yardstick.
Yeah. I mean, her chapter, 50 could be my chapter 10, and where I am in my journey. So there's no way that realistically and logically I can even compare the two, because they're nowhere near, you know, even similar in any way, shape, or form. So we have to look at the totality of each situation. Even, like Mike and, any other weightlifter. Mike had a hard time building that muscle mass until he got the book of Brawn, and
Yeah, that's
um,
actually in it. Yeah.
which is a phenomenal book. It's very simplistic, but it breaks it down in a very, you know, palatable way. And but you can't take him versus Arnold Schwarzenegger. Two completely different regions, two completely different experiences, and it's something that we have, social. This is one thing bad about social media, is that we see all these people, but it doesn't show you, like Mike said, the misery that these people are going through because they're punishing themselves to get where they want to be. You know, to get where we are in the unwanted situations, like we're overweight, we're, our joints hurt, all of these different things, we're not as healthy. It didn't take overnight to get there. So it's a multitude of bad choices. So if we can just be more aware of those choices, and, you know, be conscious and be present each and every day to make those changes, that's going to really set us up for success. And I think that's why I like Holobody so much,
Mhm.
because it really makes you pay attention to your body. And then, like Mike said, you're doing push ups. Excuse me. You're doing push ups and you're like, oh, I got a pain in my elbow. Well, modify it.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean stop, but if you're doing it one particular way, pardon me, it's cooler weather. But if you're doing it a particular way, adjust it a little bit. If you can't do it on your feet and your hands, then go to your knees.
Mhm.
Relieve a little bit of that pressure until you can build those muscles up. Now, are we saying that working out isn't going to, be taxing on your body? Absolutely not, because you're burning, you're getting your body back into that burning mode. So, are you going to be uncomfortable? Absolutely. But what Mike's saying is it shouldn't be painful when you're working out. If you're still extremely sore, I mean, you may be a little sore, okay, yeah, well, yeah, okay, I can kind of feel that. That's kind of one of those, like, okay, well, I can still work out and I'll be okay, or just go for a walk.
Mhm.
You don't have to do the same, say, 2 days later, you're trying to do the same routine. Mix it up a little bit. Do something a little different if you want to continue to work out for that day, but maybe give those muscles a little extra time, like Mike said. But there are alternatives that you can do to where you can still work out, but maybe just give those muscles a little extra time. Because what happens is when you're working out, especially weightlifting, you're tearing those muscles to make them grow. And then the body heals it, and then you feel okay, and then you start working out again to build and tear. It's basically tearing and repairing is basically what it is. That's ultimately layman's term how it works. But a lot of times that soreness and stuff, you've got a lot of lactic acid in your joint or your bone or your muscle, excuse me.
Mhm.
And if your body's not able to process that through and get it out as quickly as your workout schedule, then you do need that extra break. And that's where Mike was saying, listen to your body. Now we're not saying that it's not going to be uncomfortable, because it's something different that your body's not used to doing, but give yourself a little space there as well. You know, if you look at exercising as, oh, I hate myself and I have to do this, of course you're going to have a miserable time and you're not going to enjoy it. You know, it's going to take time to reverse what we've done to ourselves. Just like we got to where we're unhappy. It it didn't happen overnight. Just like reversing it is not going to happen overnight. As you start taking these small steps, you'll start to feel better. Like Mike said, with the elimination diet, if you find something that is just not sitting right with you, that's a clue. Maybe it's causing something else in the body. It's like with me, I know if I eat too much sugar, or what's another, or something really acidic, or too much of it, that I'll have acid like crazy. But if I have just the right amount, I know that I'm okay. So when I start getting those flare ups, I'm like, I had a little too much of that. or, maybe, uh, should have done something
Mm.
else. But, I go in it now already with that conscious mind saying, okay, I know if I eat too much of this, this is what's going to happen. So I really am able to monitor how much I eat with that particular, whether it's a sweet or it's something, acidic. I'm able to, okay, I know I can have about this much and I'm okay. And it may take, a few tries for you to figure out exactly where that happy medium is. But our body's telling us something's not right. And we're too quick to, pop pills and do this, chewable tablets. I do it all. I used to do it all the time. And, now it's just on occasion because I've become more aware. And it's one of those where, as long as you're aware, you can make forward movement in a healthy, better way. So it's one of those where you want to take that time to slow down, because in today's society, everything is so fast paced. Let's just slow down. Let's listen to our body, and make it a better journey for ourselves. You can force yourself to do anything. You can force yourself to look like J Lo, but are you willing to sacrifice your happiness in the process? Why not make it a good journey than
Mhm.
a forced journey?
Or the journey you want to look forward to
Absolutely.
each morning when you get up, or whenever you would choose to work out. Um, I also know one, and I'll get on this on maybe on another episode, but one specific demographic of people are those that work midnight shift.
Mm-hmm.
I did it for 3 years when I was a deputy, straight midnight shift, 12 hours. Uh, if you were day shift, the particular work schedule was awesome. If you worked day shift, midnight shift was kind of rough.
Yeah.
But we don't tend to look at those on midnight shift. You're thinking, well, my circadian rhythm is messed up, which is true. Most everything that you're going to get to eat is going to come out of a gas station,
Mm-hmm.
which we did, or I had a cooler in the trunk of my patrol car and finally just started bringing snacks. But one, kind of adding on to that is you want to have zero resistance habits. So let's say, well, every night before I get ready to go to bed, I like to have some chocolate chip cookies. I'm just throwing one out there. I'd like to have chocolate chip cookies. Okay, walk me through at what time, what craving do you have? Because now we're kind of getting into the mental. What is it? Because you've conditioned yourself. Oh, it's 8 o'clock. I need to grab my chocolate chip cookies, and then I'm gonna get ready and go to bed. I got to have that sweet.
Yeah.
So you want to stop eating the cookies each night. So what do? Well, let's move the cookies. Let's take the cook. You still have the same habit. I go up. There's the cupboard. When I open the cupboard, I don't see my cookies, but now I see, oh, there's some tea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have tea instead of cookies. So if that is one thing that you're able to do, open the cupboard. Oh, there's tea, or even a healthier snack.
Mm-hmm.
Say it's something out of the fridge. Celery. There's celery. Celery is technically a negative calorie. It's pretty much nothing but water and fiber. But you want to have a zero resistant habit. What was I going to before? What can I comfortably replace it with? Well, I go up. The cookies aren't there. Let me get a tea. Yeah. And then you make yourself a tea. And that it was what we would call your zero resistance habit, which we go into in depth in the program. But just sit there and think now. What do you have if you're having trouble going to sleep? What do you feel is causing you your insomnia or not being able to go to sleep? And we'll take a look at that. So think about it for a minute. Well, I'm having trouble going to sleep at night. All right, what are you doing before you get ready to go to bed? And I know because our son's a streamer, and one thing they say, you want to take away blue light, or like your electronic devices, anything generating blue light, because it does simulate sunlight. Yeah. about an hour before you get ready to go to bed. But what do most of us do? You're sitting on the computer, and then you're getting ready to go to bed. You take your phone to bed, you sit down in bed, and then you're on the phone. And then now your brain's still going. It isn't going to hurt you to set that phone down for an hour before you get ready to go to bed. The phone's still going to be, you're like, but Mike, I might have an email. I might have to answer something that's extremely important. Okay, if you're getting ready to go to bed, if that's that, it can probably wait until the next. If it's extremely, if it is a, we need to make this decision right now, someone will probably call you.
Yeah.
You want to eat or be finished eating about 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed, which is where we come into the zero resistance habit. Oh man, I'm going to go to bed. I got to get my crackers and cheese. I need to get my chocolate chip cookies or something, which is where we'll switch it to some tea. You don't want to have any, and we tried this because I'm all for having a snack before going to bed. And when we were learning about it, I was like, now I know why I can't go to sleep that well, because your body is now going to go into digestion mode, which is going to kick up your body temperature and make you a little bit more awake. That's what will make it a little bit more difficult for you to go to sleep. Or I would go to sleep because now I got a full stomach. And I said, that's the worst thing in the world to do, have a full stomach and lay down and go to bed. But help me. But I was realizing, man, I went to sleep. I got 2 or 3 good hours of sleep. And then I'm wide awake. Excuse me. Now I'm wide awake at 3 o'clock in the morning. What am I going to do? I will lay there and try to figure out for the next 2 hours how I'm going to go back to sleep. So we want to go to bed at 10. About 8 o'clock, we, be finished eating. So, and then to have the habit of being able to, have that last meal 2 to 3 hours before you get ready to go to bed. And in today's society, with as fast paced as everything is and the instant gratification, I need it now. I'm going to go do this program, get this shot, do this, do that, and in 45 days, I'm going to look great. You are going to look great in 45 days. How are you going to look in the next 45 days?
Is it sustainable?
Is it sustainable?
Yeah.
Yes. So that's, if you have that lifestyle where you're able to program in, okay, I'm going to be done. I go to bed at 11 o'clock at night. I need to finish eating by 9. Perfect. Try that out. See how it goes. But if you're one of those where you've got your schedule's kind of flexible, figure out when do you really lay down and go to bed, and then backwards plan. Okay. So I'm usually done. I know that my end of the day, I'm getting ready to lay down, and some of them do this at like midnight.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. When do you usually eat or try to plan in, which could be one of your zero resistance habits? Can I plan in my meal, whether it be a larger meal or a smaller one, 2 to 3 hours before midnight? And that's where you sit down and think, this is something that I can live with. The reason you're on the current path you're on is that your mind goes with what's familiar, and making that change is kind of rough.
Very challenging.
It is challenging, but can you do it? Absolutely. You can do it. As soon as you say to yourself, man, I'm not going to be able to do that, I'm not going to be able, then you won't. But once you move forward to say, all right, I'm going to do this elimination diet, and I'm going to find out what foods cause me inflammation, you will be amazed at the results you get.
Yeah.
So you're like, wow, it was worth changing my diet for 3 weeks to find out that, believe it or not, eggs was what, caused me inflammation. Yeah. So you cut that out of your diet, you go back to eating normally, and you're like, wow, I feel so much better. It's just making those little steps, how bad do you want it? The pain of the change goes away when the results appear. Yeah. So once you start to feel better, it's like, oh, man, I really love those eggs in the morning. Yeah. But when you cut them out and you find out you can have other things, and then you feel better, like, wow, I do feel so much better. My joints don't ache. I'm actually sleeping better. It could be just cutting out one or two food items. We found that usually they either have nothing that causes them inflammation, or it's
The
or it
slew of things.
or it's like a slew of things. One big one was eggs. Of course, your refined sugary foods.
Yeah,
That's going to be a tough one.
which we've got something for that
Yeah,
too.
we
But
do. Uh, Intermittent fasting is another thing that
another tool.
another tool
Mhm.
that we use, and we could do a whole section on intermittent fasting. I had heard about it back in like 2016, 17, and everyone seemed to be doing it. I was like, I don't know, I don't get it.
And just really quick, just a quick disclaimer on this. There's only two individuals that should never fast. That's going to be
Hmm.
anybody with an eating disorder and pregnant women.
Yes.
So just a disclaimer, if you fall in that category,
Yeah.
it is not recommended.
And if you wanted to talk, look into doing some type of fasting, always check with your primary care physician
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that it is something right for you, so that they could monitor it. Hey, I'd like to try a
Oh, and type 1 diabetics.
type 1
Sorry,
diabetics.
three.
Yes.
So there's three. My
Yes.
apologies. Yeah.
Yeah, always check with your doctor or whoever your primary care physician may be before you do anything. Even any type of a weight training program, a physical fitness program, or a change in your diet.
And one thing is we need to get away from, having such a negative annotation towards diet, the word diet. So what we try to do is, we don't call it a diet. It's a lifestyle change, because really that's exactly what it is. It's, a diet is something that's temporary. A lifestyle change is something that is permanent. So you want to make sure to, if you haven't listened to any of our other streams and podcasts, you definitely want to change the words that we say, because our minds can't differentiate between when we're joking, when we're, being serious, and it takes all of our words extremely literally.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say, God, I hate this, I hate this, then your body's really going to make it, yeah, okay, we hate this, so we're really going to hate it. It's like, okay, I know this is going to be a challenge, but I look forward to those end results, and that's going to be my motivation to keep me going. So, we really need to change what we say. And Yabolzi, the spicy, you're exact. Yeah, I know chocolate chip cookies are phenomenal, right?
Heck
But
yeah.
what they're loaded with is the problem. And there are some amazing alternatives out there. And if you go to our YouTube channel, Complete Holistic Coaching and Wellness, we actually have an alternative chocolate chip recipe on there. It cuts down a lot of. There's no refined sugars in there. There's no flour. It's going to be almond flour. The sweetener that we use is maple syrup, which is grade A, which is the really dark, rich amber syrup. And it really, if you are struggling with that sweet tooth issue, it will definitely curb, but it's high in protein. So you're not lacking the flavor, you're not lacking that sense of, oh, I need something sweet, before bed. It really helps to kind of overcome that. And again, it's a non-resistant habit. We've changed something, we've
Mm-hmm.
switched a recipe that's loaded with carbs, loaded with sugar, and again, if you eat too much, we know what happens. But by changing that recipe, we're still getting kind of that sweetness that we like, but it's not all the refined sugars that really interact poorly with our body. And then we have this a great load of protein in it as well. So definitely check that out, because it does help that transition so much better. Like Mike said, instead of having, if you have those cookies in one spot, change it out with these cookies, because they are so much
Mm-hmm.
healthier for you. And it's one of those where if we could start to make these small adjustments in our daily, and then the cookies they don't take long to make. It's probably quicker than
Yeah,
the
they
other
cook
the
pretty
other
fast.
cookies. But it's one of those where if we could just make those small adjustments, in that daily routine, what a huge impact that's going to make. You're going to start to feel better. And that's something else too, is that we don't realize, especially as we get older, we do not eat enough protein, whether it's plant-based
No.
or, animal-based. Um, and a lot of that, I mean, our bodies are protein building blocks basically. And, we have to utilize protein to repair, to, for the body to function properly. And when we don't get enough of it, that's where joint pain comes in. That's where, soreness, all these different things start to happen. And then it becomes more chronic. So if you've ever heard us before, we've talked about studies where there's two reasons why, um, we either have, mental trauma or physical issues is, and this was a study done by the medical field, that 75% of our illnesses starts in the mind. The other 25% is due to a deficiency in something, whether it's a mineral or vitamin in the body. That's powerful, guys, isn't it? 75% is mental.
Mhm.
The words we say to ourselves, that's why we have to start changing the words we use. And then the other 25% is actually what we put into our body, or lack of what we put into our body. So if we can start changing that perception of getting healthy, and as we start changing that perception to get healthy, guess what's going to happen? We will lose that weight. We will start to feel better. But we have to look at it in a different light than what we're used to. What the health, or I won't even say the health industry, the diet industry is, what, like a $32 billion industry.
It's always been.
And it's like, there's not a pill that's going to fix it. There's not a shot that's going to fix it, because you can take the shot, you can lose all this weight, but if you don't change your habits, guess where you're going to be probably in 6 months? Right back where you started, if not within the year.
Well,
So everybody's looking for a
yeah.
quick fix, but it's not a quick fix. We have to look deeper into ourselves to make these adjustments.
Mhm. Is that you? What? Getting back to what is your goal? What do you want to do? Do you want to sleep better at night? Do you want to wake up in the morning and feel
Yeah.
absolutely rejuvenated? Can you? Yes, you can. You can. It's not. Don't tell yourself, well, I'm my lifestyle. I'm not going to be able to, get good sleep or wake up in the morning refreshed or be able to relax. Well, take a look at your lifestyle. What do you have going on that could be adjusted just a little bit
Yeah.
to help you achieve that goal or work toward that goal?
Mm-hmm.
But understanding that if you have a big goal, whether it be an audacious goal,
Mm-hmm.
then it will take a little bit of time. It's not going to be, you know what? I went to the gym 3 days this week and I have achieved greatness. I look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, it will take a little bit of time, but be patient with yourself.
Yeah.
And don't remember, it is going to be your journey, and this is going to be, something that you'll hear me say it all the time, whether you see us on some of the other social media or on here. It is your journey and your journey alone. What worked for your friend, what worked for your neighbor or a coworker, or what worked for that supposed, influencer online might not work for you. So if you jump on and say, well, this worked for Mr. and Mrs. Fantastic, why isn't it working for me? I'm just not destined. I have the lazy gene, the useless gene. No, you don't have that. It's that particular program is just not designed for you, which is why in the Holobody, you are pretty much developing your own program.
Yeah.
What is going to work for you? Does it work? Yes.
Because it's tailor made for you.
Because it is for you. We could take a group of 10 people, and the program itself, it's all the same. But each individual person is going to have their own specific experience and result, because everyone has a completely different goal.
Exactly.
You may have some, I want to drop, body fat. Okay, that's your one goal. Perfect. There may be someone else who says, I've been trying most of my life to put on muscle mass and I haven't found anything for that. I have got an amazing, by the way, the program I used works like a charm.
But again, you tailor it to yourself.
Yes.
And that's through your awareness of how you're feeling while you're doing these exercises. And that's huge. And Yabolzi, changing the way we think can take forever to change. No. It can be challenging because we're not used to changing how we think.
Mm-hmm.
It's much easier than we think it is. And, this is something that, we can actually take our hypnotherapy and combine it with the Holobody, because when we do a hypnotherapy session, we're able to get to the root cause of why we feel the certain way and why we do what we do, getting to why we believe the way we believe. But then we provide recordings, which as you listen to these recordings, you have to, listen to them for a minimum of 21 days because our minds learn by repetition. So we're able to provide you with a recording that helps you change that process. Again, it's something, as long as our minds hear it constantly, then we can make that change. Our problem as human beings is we may do it for 3 or 4 days, maybe a week, and we're excited that we did it, and then we stop. So we have to be consistent. And that's something that I find challenging all the time, whether it's something through business, something with my personal, it doesn't matter. I need to be more consistent. And that's something that, all of us need to be, because we get to the point where, or we're making great progress. Well, I can skip a day, and then guess what happens? You might skip 2 days, you might skip 3 days, because it's something, like Mike said, it's something that's very familiar, and we back off. So that consistency is key as well. And by utilizing different tools, like the recording, that is able to assist and make it easier. And we actually provide that for free with our Holobody program.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do one session at no charge, because it is so important to be able to change that mental aspect as well. So, great comment. I definitely understand, in the mindset that we, everybody has this blanket mindset when it comes to getting healthy and the forbidden diet word, that you think it's going to be so difficult. But that, I think, is what I love about what we do, is that we provide all the tools necessary. You just need to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be aware of what you're doing. You have to be conscious of what you're doing, and you have to listen to those recordings.
Well, let's start with the a zero resistance habit. Mm-hmm. Something easy. A lot of people on here, of course, this is a game streaming platform. Or, like I said, our son's on it. He's a streamer. And let's say you're wanting to cut back on your caffeine, or you're wanting to, cut back on additional calories or something. You may be having trouble. So energy drinks are huge. Have a lot of. I used to drink them. I finally stopped, not because of what was in it, just there was just way too much sodium in them, and I'm 56, so I'm trying to cut back on as much salt as I can.
Well, the bad salt.
Well, the bad salt.
There's a caveat to that.
So, how many energy drinks are you having a day? Yeah. Okay, if you're trying to stay, it could be one of the reasons why you are having difficulty getting to sleep. Mm-hmm. So, let me jump into I'll quick kind of chemistry is caffeine. Yeah. Caffeine's a diuretic. I don't have a problem with it. But there are times when I hate to use the word should, but give it the shot to cut out your caffeine for about a week. Yeah. And you'd be amazed at what happens, because So caffeine has a half-life of about 5 to 8 hours. So you get up, and I'll use me as an example. I would get up and I would have 2 cups of coffee, and then I'm going to wash that down with another cup of coffee. So I probably had 3 cups of coffee in the span of a couple hours in the morning, and I drink them really fast. Then in the afternoon, I'm crashing, so I'd have an energy drink or two. So now I've got all this caffeine in my system. I wonder, why am I crashing? No, I'm just tired. Well, caffeine has a half-life. So normally, everyone's different depending on their metabolism and their structure. You'll break down half of the milligrams of caffeine that you took in about 5 to 8 hours. So what does that mean? The rest of that caffeine is still in your system. So now let me tack another one on there. Let me tack another one on there. So now you have a lot of caffeine sitting in your system, and your body's trying to get through it and burn it off, which is why you'd have the crash. One thing that I like to tell clients is take your caffeine as soon as you get up, whether you're midnight shift, day shift, it won't matter. Depends on when you take your caffeine in.
Mm-hmm.
Bump it back about 2 or 3 hours. Yeah. Because if you wake up and you get your coffee and you feel groggy and tired, like, man, I just drank my coffee. What the heck's going on? Yeah. So your cortisol in the morning is what gets you up and gets you going. So if you wait a couple hours, bump that coffee back, you've now gotten your cortisol out of the system. And then you can go ahead and have your coffee, because whenever you have your coffee in the morning and they're like, just wake up, you got the coffee, and I'm still dragging. Well, I need another cup of coffee. This is where you're stacking on all the caffeine. Well, your cortisol and the caffeine are now button heads. Well, I'm supposed to get them up and going. No, I'm the caffeine. I got to do this. So now you have this war being waged of who's going to get you awake. Yeah. Which brings me to, here's a quick challenge or change. So take however many energy drinks or caffeinated drinks that you use to stay up and get you going, and cut it back by 1 or 2. Because I know some people drink some coffee, they may have a soda, or they may do a couple of the energy drinks. Granted, there are some out there that have absolutely no calories, which is great, but there's still a little bit of, you may have some caffeine in there, the energy drink to get you going. Back it off by about 1 or 2 and see how it is. Try to, I'll drink 2 or 3 a day. Okay, let's try to take 1 and sip on that bad boy for the rest of the day and cut back on it and see how you feel. Yeah, it might be rough because some will get that caffeine headache. You can get through it. They're rough. They are not fun in any way, shape, or form. But if you take it and space it out a little bit, it might not be as bad. You might find, wow, I can take this one monster and sip on it for 3 or 4 hours and feel fine instead of pounding 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And you might find that if you're trying to lose some weight or even getting better sleep, that may help you get some better sleep, because now you're not putting as much caffeine in your system.
Yeah. And Yobolzi, yeah, you say you love energy drinks. There are other ones out there that aren't as bad. I mean, anything like that's processed, you're going to have things in it that's not the best. But, to make it a zero resistant habit, like Mike said, gave a good example, but I think there's 2 out there. I think C4 is one of them that is better. We are not promoted. We're not getting any compensation for this. We just, because we've actually done research on what is in the ingredients that are in them.
We used to be energy drink connoisseurs.
Oh my goodness!
So it's not like, oh, don't do it. No.
We've been there. We've
done
it.
Let me tell you right now,
way too long. But you want to check to see what type of B12 that's in there. You want methylcobalamin, not cyanocobalamin. Methylcobalamin is, easier for our bodies to process. It's a more natural version of the vitamin. Cyanocobalamin is more of it helps in the decaying process. So it's that's not what we want. I mean, we're a living being. We don't want to put something in there that's going to decay the body. So methylcobalamin is what you want in a B12. I know C4 has that, and I think Bang is the other. I think those are the two that we found so far.
Those are good ones.
If you guys find any other ones, that's great. Let us know. But I mean, we haven't had them in years, so because we have cut them out of our diets. But like Mike said, there's so much salt, there's so much sodium in there, and other things that aren't, colorants, fake flavors, things like that, that our bodies aren't meant to process. So, if you can, like Mike said, with the zero resistant habit, change to one of the less awful ones, you know, and then wean yourself off, so go to a better one and then wean it off. So that way you're doing it in a way that your body is able to, you know, compensate as you're making those changes. Just like, some medications you can't come off cold turkey, you have to gradually work your way down. Same concept, because you want to make it that zero resistant habit. And then a good point I want to make about the salt. Table salt that we use today is not great. They strip it during the processing, of prepping it at plants, things like that. Um, Two that we highly recommend. The very first one is pink Himalayan salt.
Mhm.
The reason being is it has 72 trace minerals that our bodies need. So even putting like a quarter of a teaspoon in, some water, you can mix that first thing in the morning. You're going to get those minerals, and you're going to hydrate the body, because it's going to allow your body to absorb more water, and it just really helps hydrate first thing in the morning. Um, and really set your body up in a positive way, because of those minerals that we normally don't get through what we eat. Now, the second one, if you're not a big fan of pink Himalayan, is the Celtic sea salt. It
Mhm.
only has 32 trace minerals, so at least you're still getting, some minerals, but we highly recommend the pink Himalayan, because of that trace mineral factor. Because, like I said, in our diets these days, that's not something that we normally get, through what we eat. So really big. Now, if you do the quarter teaspoon in water, if you can taste the salt, you've put too much in, so just back it up a little bit. If you have heart disease, or high cholesterol, anything like that, definitely discuss that with your doctor, before starting that intake. Even though it has a lot of minerals, you don't want it to counteract some medications that you've got going on, or anything. We don't want it make it a challenge for you, but if you can do it naturally, it's definitely going to be much better for you. But definitely discuss that with your physician.
Mhm.
So
Good.
yeah.
Make the small changes.
Yeah.
That's
No.
all it's going to be. But one little one leads to another small one, leads to another. Which next thing you know, you've made, you know, amazing progress
Yeah.
just by small
Small steps.
changes.
Yeah.
Rome wasn't built in a day. Neither will you.
Exactly. And keep a journal. I mean, I have two. So, keep a journal. Write down what works for you. Write down what doesn't work for you. And so that way you don't try it again, because if you forget, write it down.
Mm-hmm.
Journaling's really amazing. It keeps us accountable, because we can track what we're doing. But it's just great to have that accountability for yourself. If you don't have an accountability partner or something like that, at least it keeps you honest with yourself, and be honest. Hey, you know what? I hated this today. Okay. Well, what could we do different to make us say, it's like, I hated that workout today. Okay. Well, what did you do different that you didn't like about it? Was it more
Mm-hmm.
challenging? If it was more challenging, we do have to challenge ourselves a little bit, guys. But, if it was painful, okay, where do I need to go because I didn't like it because it hurt so bad? Let's change it. Or did I work out too soon? I mean, you really have to think of all of these different, you know, situations, and hey, if it didn't work, let's try something else, but don't give up. That's the problem. Oh, it hurt, so I'm going to give up. No, let's alter what we're doing. Let's make that small change to ensure that we get to the goal that we want to reach, and be consistent.
Consistent.
Yeah, be consistent. That's a huge part of, I think, my daily challenge. It's something that I work on all the time. Sometimes I forget and I'm not as aware on certain days, but then I'm like, oh, you know what? I wasn't aware today, so let me work a little bit more on that tomorrow. And guys, we're just human, but let's make our lives the best that it can be through these small changes.
Exactly.
If you have questions,
Small.
reach out to us. We're happy to answer any questions. We're not those kind of people. We're going to charge you for every question that you ask. No,
No.
That's not how it goes.
We're here to help you get better.
We're here to educate and to assist. We've seen so much positivity come out of what we've learned. We have so much knowledge that it's one of those where, until it's, we can pass it on, and then who we pass it on to can put that into practice. Guys, it's powerful. It's really, really powerful. And that's what excites us, to educate, so that, we all can live those lives that we want, live the dream.
Yes.
Live the dream. So, anything else that you'd like to say, Michael?
No, I have a great weekend.
Yes.
Enjoy, and if you have any questions, always reach out.
Please, yes.
Our website, CompleteHolisticCoachingAndWellness.com. You can reach out to us there, or if you're able to send us a message here through Twitch, that would be amazing. But any question, we welcome.
And we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, depending on how long that's
depending on how much longer that's going to be.
I'm sure we'll
be
fine with that.
Always,
Instagram, all these areas, Nextdoor app, and even LinkedIn. So we're happy to get any type of communication, and answer any questions that you may have. So we hope you guys have a phenomenal weekend. We hope this has provided some value to you in one way or another. And we thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. If you know of anybody that could benefit from these as well, please pass that on. We'd love to get more followers. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
All right. Thanks. Good weekend.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.